And finally tonight, a Science Unit report on dogs and the mysteries of cancer. NewsHour correspondent Betty Ann Bowser has that story.
After all of the poofing, quaffing, spraying, and prancing, the purebred dogs that compete at the annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show in New York aren't just the best examples of their breeds. Scientists now believe they may be best at something else, providing answers about why humans get cancer. It's estimated that every year in the United States, 10% of all dogs develop some form of cancer. And purebreds like these are perfect for research because their genetic makeup and control lineage is clearly traceable. Champion Irish wolfhounds like Greta are leading the way.
It's gonna feel a little funny for you, yeah.
Backstage, researcher Dana Mosher from the National Institutes of Health swabbed Greta's mouth for DNA.
The purebred domestic dog, in order to be a registered member of a club, both of those dogs' parents had to have been registered members, and their parents and their parents. So the genetic pool for a particular breed is very, very small. So what you're hoping is that most of their DNA looks similar, and that it's easier to find that area where they look different and that is associated with the disease of interest.
Greta's DNA went to the National Human Genome Research Institute in Bethesda, Maryland, where scientists isolate the genes that cause cancer. Dr. Elaine Ostrander heads the program.
Most of the cancers that are a problem in humans we see in dogs. So melanomas, skin cancers, lymphomas, leukemias, most of the things we think about in humans we see as canine cancers as well. We want to identify the genes that are responsible for those diseases in dogs, and in doing so, we've learned a lot, almost certainly, about what's responsible for those diseases in humans as well.
Different kinds of dogs are susceptible to different forms of cancer, so their breeders are highly motivated to help with the research.
I think that's one of the responsibilities of breeding a good dog, is recognizing what kinds of problems your breed can have.
Anne-Marie Kubek not only breeds champion Irish wolfhounds, she also shows champion Irish setters like Spencer.
Come on, Spencer.
Both breeds are susceptible to bone cancer. Kubek hopes that research will mean that eventually she can breed dogs without that inherited trait.
So once we find what that gene is that's messed up, then it becomes very, very quick to figure out how to develop targeted therapies to overcome that in the cell for humans as well as for dogs.
Baxter Johnson is a dog with a nasal carcinoma.
It's all part of a growing field of work called comparative oncology, one that should help dogs and humans.
This is a tumor from one of the dogs in our study, and you can see that we've taken a section of the tumor out.
Jaime Modiano is looking at cancer tumors to better understand the role genes play in their growth. The veterinarian and immunologist at the University of Colorado says scientists have turned to dogs because it has been difficult to find specific cancer risk genes in people.
How do you group humans into breeds, right? We are not breeds. My ancestry is from the Mediterranean and Eastern Europe and Mexico, and so what breed do I belong to? It's very hard to pinpoint that in any one of us. But the dogs, it's a very pure sample. And so by focusing on multiple breeds, we get multiple individual risk factors for a variety of different tumors that then allow us to go back and say, okay, this is the profile of risk.
He has teamed up with the Animal Cancer Center at Colorado State University in Fort Collins.
So did the owners have any other questions? Or?
Dr. Susan Lana, a veterinary oncologist at the center, says there's another reason dogs are a natural model for research.
They're in our environment. They share our household. They share the air they breathe. They share the water we drink. These patients get their tumor spontaneously. We don't give them the cancer. It just arises. So in that sense, it mimics what humans undergo, where their cancer arises spontaneously too. In many mice or rodent models, the cancer is given to the patient, and then they grow, and it's not necessarily a natural model. Hi, Polar. Hang on, buddy.
Lana says animal lovers have welcomed canine research since the cancers are naturally occurring, not manufactured in the animals. The Fort Collins Cancer Center is taking the next step in canine research, treating dogs like this Rottweiler named Jezebel with new therapies. Jezebel has osteosarcoma, bone cancer, and now receives injections meant to boost her immune system. Dr. Lana says using dogs as research subjects brings faster results.
Dogs' lifespans are shorter than humans. We can sometimes get answers to some of the questions like, is this approach effective? Is this combination of therapy effective? We're helping the animal patient, but we're also answering some of these preliminary questions into how these medicines or these treatments might translate into human care.
And since 1 dog year is equal to 7 human years, early conclusions from a successful canine treatment could prompt similar treatments in humans, adding years of life to people with cancer.
A dog with osteosarcoma from the time of diagnosis with treatment might have a lifespan of about a year. A human with that similar disease is going to have a lifespan with treatment of many, many years.
That certainly is the hope for Ken Lipman. Lipman volunteered for an innovative cancer vaccine at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York.
Big hop. Excellent. Look straight ahead over there.
A treatment that has been already proved highly successful in dogs. It's called a vaccine because it's meant to trigger the immune system to attack any reoccurrence of the cancer. 4 years ago, Lipman was diagnosed with advanced melanoma, an aggressive skin cancer that can be fatal to both humans and dogs alike. Dr. Jed Wolchuk developed the treatment.
We believe that the immune system can be trained to recognize cancer as being something foreign and dangerous.
It's still too early to determine the results in humans. However, just down the street at New York's world-famous Animal Medical Center, the same vaccine has wowed veterinarians with its success. Dr. Philip Bergman is the head of oncology.
Over and over again, where we should be losing these patients early on due to spread, and they continue to be with us 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, it's pretty remarkable to us.
In both dogs and humans, the vaccine is injected after all melanoma has been surgically removed, but the patient is still at a high risk of occurrence.
Over time, they've sort of come to see us as a bridge between all the mouse work that they do at Sloan Kettering and other places to then making the jump to people.
So far, Ken Lipman's CAT scan shows he is clear of cancer.
What I tell him each time I see him is that every month that goes by, he has a lower risk of the melanoma coming back. So the fact that he's done this well for this long is very promising.
Candy is one of more than 350 dogs that have received the vaccine. Most have lived more than 3 years when their life expectancy was originally only a few months. The vaccine has worked so well that the U.S. Department of Agriculture is about to license it for dogs. Remarkably, the idea to try the vaccine on dogs unfolded almost by chance.
Dr. Wolchuk, was introduced to me. We were at a dinner, and he literally said, do dogs get melanoma?
I saw the opportunity to possibly, in my wildest dreams, help his dogs, but also get some early evidence for safety and efficacy of our vaccine.
4 months later, we were starting a trial in dogs, the original trial back in 2000.
Even though it's too early to know how the vaccine will work in large numbers of people, scientists like Dr. Jed Wolchuk are rethinking the meaning of the old phrase, a man's best friend.
I see them as contributing to our mission here. And I also see them as creatures living in this environment that get cancer, that get the same disease that I'm trying to help my patients with, and deserve every chance to get well.
And patient Lipman agrees.
It's a win-win for the dogs. I'm hoping it's going to be a win-win for this old dog.
And I'm just going to rub on the side of the cheek here, try to get some cheek cells.
To date, the Human Genome Institute has collected over 10,000 canine DNA samples.